What specific safeguards does the GDPR require for cross-border data transfers? A. Adequate jurisdictions, or safeguards like standard contractual clauses or binding corporate rules. B. Encryption for all transfers. C. Public disclosure of all transfers. D. National law enforcement. Correct answer: A. Adequate jurisdictions, or safeguards like standard contractual clauses or binding corporate rules. Explanation: the GDPR mandates transfers occur to adequate jurisdictions or with safeguards like standard contractual clauses or binding corporate rules, ensuring consistent data protection. What role does the European Data Protection Board, EDPB, play in ensuring GDPR compliance? A. It provides guidelines and monitors consistency. B. It oversees national supervisory authorities. C. It develops GDPR amendments. D. It supervises GDPR implementation directly. Correct answer: A. It provides guidelines and monitors consistency. Explanation: the EDPB provides guidance and monitors consistency across member states, ensuring uniform GDPR application and endorsing WP29 guidelines. How does the GDPR address processing for legitimate interests of controllers or third parties? A. It mandates a balancing test between controller and data subject interests. B. It prohibits processing entirely. C. It mandates explicit consent for processing. D. It allows unrestricted processing. Correct answer: A. It mandates a balancing test between controller and data subject interests. Explanation: the GDPR mandates a balancing test between controller and data subject interests, ensuring processing does not infringe on individual rights. What specific steps does the GDPR require to ensure data minimization? A. Limit data collection to what is relevant and necessary. B. Limit data retention. C. Ensure data processing for specified periods. D. Prohibit unnecessary processing. Correct answer: A. Limit data collection to what is relevant and necessary. Explanation: the GDPR mandates data minimization, limiting collection to what is relevant and necessary for specified purposes, ensuring individual privacy and reducing unnecessary processing. How does the GDPR address direct marketing as a lawful ground for processing? A. It prohibits all direct marketing. B. It permits direct marketing based on legitimate interests, provided interests are balanced. C. It allows direct marketing if explicit consent is obtained. D. It mandates public disclosure of all marketing activities. Correct answer: B. It permits direct marketing based on legitimate interests, provided interests are balanced. Explanation: the GDPR permits direct marketing based on legitimate interests, provided the interests of the controller are balanced against those of the data subject. How does the GDPR handle data retention to ensure appropriate storage limitation? A. It mandates retention periods specified by EU or member state law. B. It restricts retention to what is necessary for processing purposes. C. It requires periodic audits of storage facilities. D. It prohibits data storage entirely. Correct answer: B. It restricts retention to what is necessary for processing purposes. Explanation: the GDPR mandates storage limitation, restricting retention to what is necessary for processing purposes, ensuring data is not held longer than needed. What specific measures does the GDPR require for processing special categories of personal data? A. It mandates encryption for all data processing. B. It permits processing with explicit consent or additional safeguards. C. It restricts processing entirely. D. It mandates processing only for specified periods. Correct answer: B. It permits processing with explicit consent or additional safeguards. Explanation: the GDPR permits processing special categories of data, such as health, genetic or biometric data, with explicit consent or additional safeguards, ensuring compliance and protection. What are the GDPR's requirements for processing transparency? A. It mandates transparency notices and data subject rights information. B. It prohibits processing without consent. C. It requires all processing activities to be publicly disclosed. D. It mandates periodic transparency reports. Correct answer: A. It mandates transparency notices and data subject rights information. Explanation: the GDPR mandates transparency, requiring notices that inform data subjects of their rights, ensuring individuals are aware of how the data is processed. How does the GDPR address material scope concerning non-automated processing? A. It prohibits non-automated processing. B. It applies to non-automated processing that forms part of a filing system. C. It restricts non-automated processing to specified periods. D. It mandates encryption for all non-automated processing. Correct answer. B. It applies to non-automated processing that forms part of a filing system. Explanation. The GDPR applies to non-automated processing of personal data that forms part of a filing system, or is intended to form part of one, ensuring consistency in data protection. How does the GDPR ensure security in data processing? A. It mandates encryption for all data. B. It requires appropriate technical and organizational measures. C. It restricts data processing. D. It mandates regular audits. Correct answer. B. It requires appropriate technical and organizational measures. Explanation. The GDPR mandates controllers and processors implement appropriate technical and organizational measures to secure personal data, ensuring compliance and protection against breaches. How does the GDPR handle processing activities that are outside the scope of union law? A. It mandates GDPR compliance for all activities. B. It excludes activities outside union law, such as national security activities. C. It applies solely to data processing by automated means. D. It mandates encryption for all data processing. Correct answer. B. It excludes activities outside union law, such as national security activities. Explanation. The GDPR excludes processing activities outside the scope of union law, such as national security and law enforcement matters, allowing for specific national laws to apply. What steps does the GDPR require for managing vendor risk in processing relationships? A. Pre-contractual due diligence, regular audits, and ongoing compliance checks. B. Individual agreements with supervisory authorities. C. Vendor registration with supervisory authorities. D. Mandatory encryption for all data transfers. Correct answer. A. Pre-contractual due diligence, regular audits, and ongoing compliance checks. Explanation. The GDPR mandates managing vendor risk through pre-contractual due diligence, regular audits, and ongoing compliance checks, ensuring data processors maintain compliance throughout their relationships. How does the GDPR address joint controller relationships concerning data subject rights? A. It requires data subjects to seek recourse from only one controller. B. It mandates transparent arrangements outlining respective responsibilities. C. It allows unrestricted processing by both controllers. D. It mandates that data subjects exercise their rights against both controllers. Correct answer. B. It mandates transparent arrangements outlining respective responsibilities. Explanation. The GDPR mandates transparent arrangements between joint controllers, outlining responsibilities concerning data subject rights, including access requests and contact points, ensuring clarity for individuals. How does the GDPR define its territorial scope concerning processing by controllers or processors established outside the EU? A. It applies only to EU-established entities. B. It applies if processing relates to offering goods or services or monitoring behavior of EU data subjects. C. It excludes non-EU entities entirely. D. It applies solely to digital data processing. Correct answer. B. It applies if processing relates to offering goods or services or monitoring behavior of EU data subjects. Explanation. The GDPR applies to processing of EU data subjects' personal data by non-EU entities if it relates to offering goods or services or monitoring behavior, ensuring compliance even for non-EU controllers. What specific principles does the GDPR mandate for processing personal data? A. Data minimization, accuracy, and integrity. B. Lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. C. Accountability, transparency, and storage limitation. D. Accuracy, integrity, and confidentiality. Correct answer. B. Lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. Explanation. The GDPR mandates lawfulness, fairness, and transparency for processing personal data, guiding the entire lifecycle to ensure respect for individual rights and GDPR compliance. How does the GDPR handle compatibility testing for further processing purposes? A. It permits unrestricted secondary processing. B. It mandates a compatibility test considering factors like link between purposes, nature of data, and collection methods. C. It restricts secondary processing to specified periods. D. It prohibits secondary uses entirely. Correct answer. B. It mandates a compatibility test considering factors like link between purposes, nature of data, and collection methods. Explanation. The The GDPR mandates a compatibility test for further processing, considering factors like the link between purposes, nature of the data, and collection methods, ensuring alignment with the original purpose. What role does the GDPR assign to the European Data Protection Board, EDPB, in relation to cross-border data transfers? A. It supervises national data protection authorities. B. It oversees consistency and provides guidelines. C. It develops GDPR amendments. D. It adjudicates data transfer disputes directly. Correct answer: B. It oversees consistency and provides guidelines. Explanation: the EDPB oversees consistency in cross-border data transfer matters, providing guidance and monitoring the application of GDPR across member states, ensuring uniformity. How does the GDPR handle processing transparency for data subjects? A. It mandates transparency notices and information on data subject rights. B. It mandates public disclosure of all processing activities. C. It prohibits processing without consent. D. It requires transparency reports to supervisory authorities. Correct answer: A. It mandates transparency notices and information on data subject rights. Explanation: the GDPR mandates transparency through notices informing data subjects of their rights, ensuring individuals are aware of how the data is processed and their options for recourse. How does the GDPR address security for personal data processing? A. It mandates encryption for all data. B. It requires appropriate technical and organizational measures. C. It restricts processing activities. D. It mandates regular audits. Correct answer: B. It requires appropriate technical and organizational measures. Explanation: the GDPR mandates controllers and processors implement appropriate technical and organizational measures to secure personal data, ensuring compliance and protection against breaches.